On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks fall to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They get Dante Exum. Was that the plan? What happened to him? We'll talk about that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You were locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show. Make it Locked On Mavs your first listen today. The best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, leave a 5-star review, like the video, and comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section what's one reason the Mavs lost to the Wolves in this game tonight. Just one. I'm sure there's not one that everyone is going to say, but I'm sure there is one that comes to mind. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. And joining me, as always, on a postgame, the postgame prodigy. What you got for me? Slightly biased.
One word. Toilet. But why do I say toilet?
Is that where the vibes are? They're in the toilet?
No. I say it because just flush this game.
Oh.
Yeah.
You
this
zagged.
is just a flush game. That's a zag, ladies and gentlemen. That's right.
You zag. You completely. You're okay. So today we'll talk about this Mavs versus Minnesota Timberwolves game. We'll talk about Luka. Still a badass. Like just still incredible.
He is him.
I still think, and it sounds like you do too, I still think this is a good matchup. If the Mavs are to match up against the Timberwolves in the playoffs, I still think this is a good matchup. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Maybe look forward. I mean, you gotta look forward after a game like this and see what it is. But let's start here. You just flushed this game.
Yeah.
Why?
Agreed. I mean, there's some positives, but look, Grant Williams got to start playing a little bit better. I mean, I went out of my way to recruit him. I went out of my way to recruit him in the offseason. People are blaming me for it. You know, it is what it is. But you know, it's kind of like the Reggie Bullock thing at times, where it's like, hey, dude. 2 of 11 nights will happen, but your 11 shots are pretty open. Like, I don't think they can happen for you, really. He had like 1 or 2 grenades that he had to throw up there, but I mean, Tim, Dereck Jones Jr., and Grant Williams combined to shoot 2 of 20 from 3. You don't win games like that. You're not going to win in games
with no Kyrie, no Seth Curry, no Josh Green, no Maxey. If those 3 guys, like you said, go to like 2 of 20 or 3 of 20 or whatever it was, you just don't win games. Like they still live or die by the 3. I was listening to Locked On Wolves with Ben Beacon earlier, and he said he liked this matchup for the Timberwolves, but the 3-point shot was going to be a big deal because the Timberwolves don't allow a ton of threes. They've only allowed the Timberwolves don't take a lot of threes either. I think they've only taken 40 threes like twice. But the Mavs lead the league in the amount of 43 games. Like they take 43s in a game. I think they've taken 17. And in this one, what did they finish with? They only took 32. They only made 7 of them. Like that the Timberwolves made the Mavericks play in a way that they don't normally play. And if that's the case, and then Naz Reid hits as many threes as your entire team did, which is why I said they got Dante Exum, because he hit 7 of 11. Now he's historically a better shooter than Dante Exum has. The Exum outlier game, the Exum outlier game the other day was kind of like that, just that, more of an outlier. But when Naz Reid does that, I mean, you just kind of tip your hat to him. The thing is, though, why'd they keep leaving him open? He's not the guy that you leave. Like, leave Nickeil Alexander-Walker, leave somebody else, but don't leave. Honestly, leave Gobert under the rim. He couldn't do anything under the rim. Like he couldn't finish.
Leave Anthony Edwards. He was a catastrophe. He was 3 of 19. I had to make sure I was reading that right. I wasn't looking at a different number. 3 of 19 from the field. But there was a play directly out of a timeout where the Mavericks defense wasn't set. I mean, the game was already out of reach at this point. Like the game was pretty much over. And Naz Reid, he missed the 3, but he was wide open in the corner. And I'm like, what happened to the timeout? Was the timeout not like, hey guys, Naz Reid, I don't care who you leave open. He's not shooting another 3. Like, period.
It's a weird matchup with Naz Reid because the help defender on like an Anthony Edwards off the ball or like a Karl-Anthony Towns when he has the ball, that help defender was guarding Naz Reid. It's like it would be Grant or it would be Dereck Jones Jr. or it would be like that player would leave Naz Reid to go and help on some of these better offensive players. Like overall, to me at least, it felt like the Mavs had a pretty good offensive game defensive game outside of Naz Reid hitting 7 threes. Like you said, Anthony Edwards didn't shoot the ball particularly well. And Dereck Jones Jr. I thought did a great job of just staying in front of him, not allowing him to have straight lines to the basket. He's going to get there to the basket because he's an insane athlete. It's amazing to watch him in person. But I thought they did overall a good defensive job overall. And then it was just Naz Reid. That was the one weird thing. Like, it almost felt like it was part of the scouting report. And if it was, like, fire that person. They just decided to leave Naz Reid open. Like, that's not the guy you leave open.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that's the case because even then, like, Naz Reid is a Maverick killer. He always has been.
He is.
So it's like the Lakers leaving Dante Exum open makes sense. Like, that's like, well, you played the percentage game and you got burned. That's going to happen. Like, Naz Reid is one of the best 6 men in the league. He's like one of the best shooting bigs in the league too. So
he only shoot the last 4 years. Right now he's shooting 36%. That's going to go up, but he's only shooting 35% from three. So maybe we need to slow down. It's not. It was a little bit more of an Exum.
Yeah, but that's not like leave the guy wide open numbers. That's
sure.
Like 30, 29. That's like, if he makes threes, then we lost the game. Whatever. Like Kyle Anderson, for example, who I don't know what they were saying on the broadcast, was like 2 of 18 on threes this year or something.
His shot looks so bad.
Yeah, he's a good player though. I really like him, and I think he'd be great on the Mavericks. But yeah, like if you leave him open and he kills you from three, then you know what? It wasn't your game.
Yeah, which is that's the same as Exum, but to leave Naz Reid open to me didn't make a whole lot of sense. And I called this at halftime. Rudy Gobert got his 3rd foul, I think, in the 2nd quarter, and I said, "Ooh, he got his 3rd foul," and people are celebrating that, but I think that's a bad thing for the Mavericks because then they're going to put Naz Reid out there, or then they're going to put the shooting bigs, and the Mavericks have a harder time defending that spacing, like the spacing the floor where they can put Cat and Naz Reid out there and space the floor 5 out than they do against Gobert. And the Mavs can still score against Gobert because Luka was proving it all night that he could score against Gobert. Jaden Hardy scored on Gobert. Like Lively was doing things on Gobert. And so I thought leaving Gobert in. And then the second half, that proved to not be the case. They just played Naz with him anyway. Just played Naz with him anyway. And it worked out in the Timberwolves' favor.
No, yeah, I agree. I was thinking the same thing when Gobert got into foul trouble. I was like, "Dang, this might not be the best news." But yeah, I mean, I'm interested. I guess we might. Okay, I see that. That's on the sidebar, whatever you would call that. I was going to ask you why you think might be a good matchup for the Mavericks.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree.
I think it is a good matchup for the Mavs. We'll get into that a little bit later, but. Yeah, it was so you kind of do flush this game because it was a little bit of an anomaly with Naz Reid hitting all those threes. The Mavs didn't hit any threes. There was no Kyrie. It's like if you win this game, you feel good. You're playing with house money almost.
Yeah.
If you win this game, you feel good. But if you don't win this game or something like that happens, then you're not tearing everything down. Like if you're sitting at home right now, you're sitting in your car or whatever, and you're sitting. Can't believe these Mavericks. Nick just told me they built a winning culture yesterday. What an idiot! Like you may be right about that, but. I wouldn't get too worked up about this. This is the best team in the league right now, record-wise.
Yeah.
I don't think they are the best team in the league, but they're the best team in the league record-wise. They were healthy, had all their guys. Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels were questionable coming into this game and ended up playing. But they didn't get their best game from Anthony Edwards. The Mavs did a good job on him. But it was definitely him missing some shots too. And then, I think like you said, you just kind of move on from this one because – You take some of the lessons. All right, don't leave a guy like that open all the time.
Yeah.
And don't just miss all of your threes.
And I'll go as far as to say I think the Mavericks, like, I don't think the final score is that accurate of what this game felt like. I mean, the Timberwolves pulled away and they clamped up and dominated the second half. But it was like within 10 until like the 6-minute mark. I would go as far as to say the Mavericks win this game with Kyrie. I mean, I don't know if that's like a stretch, but
I would go so far as to say. Let me lean in here. Nobody else is here. I can shove it. I would go so far as to say the Mavs win this game if Seth plays. You just give me one more 3-point shooter. Like, just give me one more that's going to hit some threes.
All right, that was it. All right, that's out there. I could see it.
I'll go that because he had been a helpful ball handler. They threw.
Yeah.
When did Kidd put Hardy back in? Because that threw me. It was in the 4th quarter, and he just threw Hardy back in after Hardy had not. He had like a couple of good plays, but there was. Yeah, he hadn't done particularly well. And I was like, man, if just these Hardy minutes were Curry minutes where it's a little more solid and you can get some solid 3-point shooting and spacing where they he's a threat, I think that would have changed some things.
That's interesting. I think because I saw Hardy out there too, and I was like, okay, they pulled Tim because Tim's just having a disaster. But Tim was still out there. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess they're just rocking 3 guards. But the Seth one's interesting because I saw people who were like, oh, they didn't need Kyrie tonight. They just needed to hit threes. So it's like, well, if you're not hitting threes, having a all-world offensive guy is going to help tremendously.
It's actually the opposite. They need to hit all these threes because they don't have Kyrie, right? Like that's why he's still the second most important player, second best player on this team, and all that. Like it's just undisputed at this point. So yeah, but coming up, let's talk about why Luka is still a badass. Let's talk about what the game he had, because I thought he showed some stuff and some leadership. He was also on the Rachel Nichols show Headliners. I sent a whole summary to the subtexters today of all the stuff, and so I want to talk about some of that kind of stuff because he talked about some leadership things that I think we can look into this game and some others recently and talk about him. So let's talk about him coming up. Today's episode brought to you by Dave. Dave.com has you covered when you need some extra cash. Everybody has a moment where they just need something extra. They just need to get, some groceries. You just need to get, that extra thing for your kid. I know that Isaac has multiple kids, and I know he needs extra cash because he's not doing Locked On Mavs anymore, and I don't think the Mavs pay as well as we do. But go to Dave.com, and you can get some extra cash. Dave is the banking app that helps level the playing field financially. So when you download Dave, you can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. It's part of the Dave's Extra Cash account. Advance the money you need with no interest, then settle up later. So how do you do this? Download the Dave app at dave.com/LockedOnNBA. That's dave.com/LockedOnNBA. You can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. That could help a lot of people. Download the Dave app today or go to dave.com/LockedOnNBA for terms and conditions. Go to dave.com/legal. Eligibility criteria and instant transfer fees apply. Banking services provided by Evolve. Member FDIC. Go to dave.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad. I'm here at the AAC, and I met so many of you tonight. It was excellent. I love meeting guys. I'm always in section 123. I've got stickers. I have one sticker left.
Ooh.
I took like a whole stack today, and I almost ran out, and so I almost felt really bad. But, yeah, would love to see you here. Would love to meet you. I've met so many of you, and it's been awesome. There was a scout sitting next to me, and there was a moment at halftime where there was like a ton of people coming up to me, and he was like, "You need a swivel chair up here." But all right, slightly. Let's talk about this game. Luka, just an incredible showing. 39 points. He was incredible in the first quarter. He had 13 assists. He had 8 turnovers. Some of those, I don't know, were a little suspect. There's some kickballs, and there's some weird things that weren't called. In the first quarter alone, they gave him a tech for an obvious foul call that he didn't get. And then they decided, the refs, they as the refs, they as in the establishment that wants to take down Luka and wants to give the large media market, the Minnesota Timberwolves, a win in this one.
Exactly.
They decided to take away a 3 because Luka was out of bounds before the play, like when he received the ball. So they took a 3 away. It should have been 33-26 at the end of the first quarter. It ended up being 30-26. Luka finished the first quarter with 16. He should have had 19. And then also that tech, they hit another, like the Timberwolves hit another bucket off that. So literally a 4-point swing just because of dumb ref things in the first quarter. Yeah. And Luka was getting furious about it, and Kid was just like staring at the video board and hanging out and doing all that. But what did you think about Luka, especially in that first quarter?
Yeah, he was electric. I mean, this was the Luka stopper team, is what everyone has said. Like Jaden McDaniels, I mean, I thought he got destroyed by Luka tonight. I mean, he did
2 fouls in the first 4 minutes.
Yeah, he did his best, and he had some nice plays here and there, but by and large, Luka got the better of that matchup easily. And then Kyle Anderson surprisingly was the one who did the best on Luka, but even then, Luka did his thing tonight, and it was just patience. Istok pointed this out on Twitter today that the Timberwolves blitz more than any team in the NBA, and we already know that Luka gets blitzed not just double the next guy, but double plus 40. I mean,
what was the Tim Cato stat the other day?
It was like Cade gets doubled 60 times, and then Luka gets doubled 100 or blitzed 150 times. It was something insane. But the Timberwolves are doing that tonight. And Luka just
Luka 140 times so far this year. This is before this Timberwolves game. It's going to go up after this. Cade Cunningham 62. That's the next closest as getting blitzed. And when you get blitzed, it's a double team off of a screen or roll. So somebody sets a screen, you get somebody, the other 2 defenders both come at the ball handler. And it happens to Luka more than anybody, more than Devin Booker. Do you believe that? Is that wild?
I mean, are you talking about that tweet that was going around?
Yeah, there was a guy that was like, Who gets this kind of coverage?
Not just a guy, Flex. That's a Suns. That's a Suns mega celebrity. Flex from Jersey.
He was like, who else gets this coverage? It was a picture of just Devin Booker like getting picked up at half court by 2 defenders. It's like, I don't know, like every game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's funny because the Suns fans should know this because, they were really bad for a long time and it was only Devin Booker. That's not necessarily – I mean, it's obviously a sign of respect to the player, but it's more so nobody else on this court can beat us, so we're double-teaming you every time, no matter where you are. And when Kyrie's
the Mavs
out,
have
that's
been there.
With Luka.
The Mavs are still there right now with the injuries.
The Mavs are currently there right this second. But he's like Luka's just so – I think he's better than anybody in the league at it. Being patient, because sometimes that help defender will leave, and then Luka has a matchup he likes, and he goes one-on-one again and gets a shot that he likes, or finding the open guy, or just finding, the guy in the middle, whether that's Dwight Powell or I don't know why I started with Dwight Powell, Dereck Lively, or Dwight Powell, or Rashad Holmes, whatever the case may be.
You can hide, but you cannot escape Dwight Powell.
I think the reason why is because I was just so shocked when he came in that he had a shooting sleeve tonight. You notice that?
It's because he was playing Gobert. He knew he was going to get scratched up.
I was like, why is Dwight Powell in a shooting sleeve? He's about to let one fly. But
what if what if he put on the shooting sleeve and it was like magic and he starts draining threes finally?
Yeah, it's like I was joking about Luka's headband where there's like ridges on the inside that are infused with steroids that get seep into the bloodstream mid game, like a 2K accessory.
It's one of those like Elon Musk Neuralink things that just can control his brain. And you know what? Dwight Powell should be Naz Reid. That's the player he should be right now. He tried to add that 3 like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
he should be that player. He hits threes like that in practice. I swear, I've seen it so many times. He goes up
he's hit a corner 3 this year. I don't remember what game that was. Out of a timeout, it was some drawn-up play.
Singular corner 3.
And he knocked it down. And it was like a fourth quarter, 6 minutes left in a tie game or something like that. Was that against the Bulls?
What we saw from Luka in the first quarter, I think, was like that's just. I mean, Luka's just he's so good. He can affect a matchup like that, and he can score on a big like that. Just immobilize him basically. Use the guys around him. And so the Mavs started out this game at about the 6-minute mark. They were up 19-3 or 8-minute mark. They're up 19-4 just because of Luka. Luka had 12 points in under 4 minutes.
Yeah,
to start this game, he was just attacking those matchups. Luka hit a step back 3 that I don't think we can call a step back 3 because it was longer than that. I was like, I said it was like a put it in reverse, like your car, like you take your transmission and put it into reverse. Like that's what it felt like because he backed up a couple times and then took the 3. I mean, he was just on it.
I don't know if you like have never really played basketball, but like you shoot around, go and try to shoot a step back 3 like that. It's just so hard.
Hold on, I'll go right now.
Yeah, get out there.
There's only half a court, but I can still
I'll live commentate it. But it's so hard to generate the power. I mean, it's just like a crazy shot. The fact it's so funny too because he like openly admitted his rookie year, like, yeah, I've never shot this before, but
he tried it in that Rockets game, the 11-0 run that he went on.
Yeah. Then he just decided, I'll shoot that shot, I guess. Wonder what his career would look like.
That's how Dirk kind of started with the step back. He's like, I just need to make some space, and then all of a sudden he started doing it, and now it's his shot.
Just envisioning a world where Luka doesn't have that shot, and he's more like a catch and shoot, set shot guy.
God, he might be Paul Pierce.
Yeah, just a mid-range assassin.
He should do the mid-range should be. So that's something I wish he would do more. It felt like 2 years ago he really added that to his game, and then I don't feel like he's really gone to it. Now he'll do the stop, turnaround, fadeaway. He hit that a couple times in this game, and like that's just deadly. It's kind of like the Dirk one-leg fade, but there's a little more. There's a little more like lean to it, and a little more like he's driving with it instead of like posting up.
I just don't know if he gets like the coverages to post up. Really, it's very rarely. I mean, very rarely is he not getting doubled, especially when he gets inside the 3-point line. Like help is on its way. So I don't know if he just doesn't have the looks he wants. And Luka gets a lot of stuff for being a ball hog, but Luka's looking to pass first. I feel like more often than not. So he's like almost waiting to see where the help is coming from, and if help doesn't come, then he'll go.
He was not passing first to start this game. He was like, I'm going to go score a bunch of points. And it worked. They were up 19-4. And then the Mavs then he started passing after that. The Mavs started missing threes. And then that's when the Timberwolves came back because the Mavs just didn't keep scoring. This was, how did they finish? It was one of their worst offensive games of the year. Finished at 102. I think some of that will come off because of garbage time on cleaning the glass. But It's not their worst offensive game. Their worst offensive game was
Clippers.
No, what was the one?
I was looking at that Clippers game earlier. I don't even remember what happened in that game.
It was the Clippers game. You were completely right. Because they only scored 88 points, but they had a 95 offensive rating. This was 102. Still not worse than the Memphis game without Luka the other day.
Yeah,
but the bottom 3 offensive game for the Mavericks this year. Not ideal when you're playing quote unquote the best team in the league with the the best record.
I mean, their defense is nasty. Like it is.
They've got a lot of guys to throw at them.
Yeah, it's very good. They play. They're very well. They're very connected. They rotate incredibly well. I mean, they're just an active defense that gets after it. And then you have the Gobert effect. It's funny because the Mavericks, 18 of 22 at the rim. They made as many shots at the rim as the Timberwolves, which is a little bit surprising. But,
which is why
they do a good job neutralizing Gobert. They really do.
Which is why I'll tell you why this Timberwolves team is a good matchup against the Mavericks. We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds. I was checking this game. I sent it out via subtext all the time. The line before the game, it was Mavs -1.5, and I was surprised the Mavs were favored. And then Anthony Edwards was listed as available, and then the line switched to Timberwolves +2. Like it switched all the way. So if you're interested in stuff like that, if you want to put some money down on a money line, if you want to put some money down on the money line for the Mavericks against the Blazers, all you have to do is put $5 down on that. If they win, you win the money that you put down, but you also win you also get $150 in bonus bets. Go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. You can get that right now. Again, FanDuel.com/LockedOn to take advantage of that offer and everything else they have at FanDuel. Again, FanDuel.com/LockedOn. All right, Slightly, let's talk about this Mavs-Minnesota Timberwolves matchup because I think it is still a good playoff matchup for the Mavericks if they end up facing this team later on down the road. I think what Luka showed tonight, he can still neutralize Gobert. Jaden McDaniels apparently doesn't matter in front of him. The Mavs will not defend Anthony Edwards that well every single time, especially in a playoff series. But I think it's a good sign that Dereck Jones Jr. did well against him. I think Grant is kind of a unique matchup for Karl-Anthony Towns, and I think with a series, I think he'd be able to maybe figure out some stuff with him and then maybe not go 1 for 7 from 3.
Yeah.
And then the Mavs shooting, and if you get Kyrie, then who's guarding Kyrie? Is it Anthony Edwards? Then all of a sudden you're making Anthony Edwards work on the other end.
Yeah.
And so I just think this is a good matchup for them. Also, Mavs they were the second or fourth best half-court offense, depends on where you looked. And the Timberwolves are only the 17th best half-court offense this season. And that to me is what I'm looking at for playoffs is how well can you score when everything slows down and gets to be in the half court. Like they have a hard time scoring when it's Rudy Gobert and them in the half court because he just takes up space and he can't catch a lob.
Yeah.
Or he catches a lob and fakes that he got hit in the face by Dereck Jones Jr. and is holding his eye because he missed the alley-oop dunk. And you're like, I've never seen an alley-oop flop. Have you?
I mean, that was bizarre because the replay, he got fouled. Dereck Jones Jr. hit him on the shoulder, but I never saw any face contact.
Boo.
Yeah, I mean,
Boo.
Gobert is Gobert.
Fake.
But interesting.
But you don't think they're a good matchup?
I think if the Mavericks made some type of trade for some more size, then I would probably agree. I worry about the size. If you get out rebounded, they'd get out rebounded in every single game. That's a tough series to win.
They got destroyed on the boards in this game, but they also missed a ton of shots. The offensive rebounds were bad. What was it, 12-4? The offensive rebounds in this game? That's bad. You got to work on that, and you can't get beat that bad. But if you're hitting more threes, then the rebounding wouldn't look as bad for the Mavericks. And if they hit threes in this game, and if Naz Reid doesn't go nuts, then they win this game too. So
yeah.
it's
interesting because the Timberwolves are the best half-court defense.
Yes, right.
But the Mavericks do, I'm looking at this right now, they do very well against, the Mavericks are unfazed by good defenses, their offense, usually. I mean, tonight I think is an outlier, no Kyrie, and they shot really poorly. If they hit threes at a normal rate, I don't know if they necessarily win this game, but their offense looks way better at least. But
on record as they would.
Yeah, I mean, they would be much closer. Because, again, I don't think the final score is that representative of how the game felt throughout. It was like the Timberwolves outclassed the Mavericks the entire time. But I think more so it would be interesting because this is still a young Timberwolves team. And they played a competitive series last year against the Nuggets, but they're still young. I mean, Anthony Edwards is one playoff series, Cat 2. I mean, Gobert has been in some wars, but he gets played off the floor quite a lot in the playoffs.
But that one playoff series was equal to an NBA Finals, according to Karl-Anthony Towns. It was the hardest thing, and they won that play-in. They won that play-in tournament game, so that was as equally.
You know
as
what? You know what? I just now remembered that. You're right. That's not the killer dog I want in the playoffs at all.
No, he always falters in the playoffs too, which is why I'm like Grant would be an interesting matchup because Grant would get in his head completely.
Oh, yeah, and I'm happy you said that because I thought Grant did a solid enough job on Cat, and Cat had some really tough baskets because he's a really great offensive player.
Mm-hmm.
But Grant made it hard.
He hit like 3 Dirk shots tonight, and I
Yeah.
just wanted to throw up. I just wanted to throw up all over the place.
Yeah.
Former, I think it'll be okay if I say this. Former Mavs assistant coach Mike Shed was sitting in front of me, and I was like, Shed, how dare he take that shot in the place where Dirk, the place with the house that Dirk built, and he just turned around and like rolled his eyes and
It sucks because Cat's like such a likable guy outside of him saying he's the greatest big man shooter of all time. Mavs fans are just never gonna like him now.
Never. Like people will suggest fake trades to me for Karl-Anthony Towns, and I'm just like, no.
I think
I don't want him here.
I had a rule that I said if Cat got traded to the Mavericks, I will do an 8-hour live stream of just nothing but Luka Doncic mock trades. Like we'll just go team by team. All right, Luka to the Hornets. Well, let's see.
You'll tank your channel. Tank all the numbers on your channel if that happens. Yeah, he would be a good offensive fit and blah blah blah. All that, but
no, I don't think he'd be a good fit.
But no, the vibe. Imagine the Mavs in the playoffs with Luka and Grant Williams and like all these guys like that are uber competitive against Gobert and Cat. Like I just don't see how that works. The Mavs have an edge in a different way that the Nuggets did. The Nuggets are obviously a way better team, but
yeah, I think it'd be a fun series. It's nice that we're even talking about like playoff series. Like we feel this good about the team at this point. They're like, all right, because I was thinking about that last night. I'm watching the Suns and I'm like, oh my god, I think the Mavericks would be licking their chops at this postseason series.
That Suns team is so weird. We
I
talked about them on Locked On NBA yesterday. I don't get them.
Luka would look at Nurkic and say, "Are you joking? I'm scoring 60 points every game."
And their backup is Eubanks. They would just go small with KD at the 5, and you're like, all right, then Luka will body you every time.
I mean, I love that. There are matchups for the Mavericks where I'm like, if they get at the right, bracket, like it could be nice for them.
I did a mailbag for Subtext. Subscribe to the Subtext, by the way, if you want all this extra content I'm talking about. But I did a mailbag for the Subtext yesterday, and one of the questions was, how can this Mavericks team go on a run? And I'm like, start looking around, and you go, all right, well, Denver. If they face Denver at any round, you don't feel good about that team at all. Like, Denver should win that one.
Yeah.
Everybody else, like, Golden State is a mess. The Mavs have beaten them twice, and it depends on Anthony Davis being good. Like, I'm okay depending on that.
That'd be a fun series.
The Clippers are kind of a mess, and the Mavs I think they can beat them. They've already showed it once. You've got the Timberwolves and the Thunder. They're just young teams, so I mean, it's not like they would come in and you would be like, oh, they definitely beat the Mavs. The Kings, the Mavs, I feel like would match up against them. Like, there's just a lot of weird like teams in the West right now. They're just not as good as we thought everybody would be.
Yeah, and then you also have the Luka playoff effect. Like, this is the thing. This was the argument against tanking last year, which I understood, but I knew what it was. Like, there was no reason to not tank at the end of the season. Was, well, you get Luka. Like, I know the season's been a disaster, but you get Luka in there, and who knows what can happen. And that's always.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't believe last year, and I was right.
Did you leave?
Yeah, pretty much. No, I stayed. Unfortunately,
you know who didn't. You know who didn't believe is Isaac Harris. He left. He's not here anymore. He wasn't even here tonight.
Man, wow, unbelievable.
Doesn't even the team signs his checks now, and he still doesn't. He doesn't believe in them apparently.
Their best start in the Jason Kidd era.
Yeah, I think the Timberwolves are a good matchup against the Mavericks. Like, looking at this game, you say, all right, you added Kyrie to this, and it,
I would like other matchups, but it'd be a fun series. I would like other matchups. I would feel much better about this matchup with a trade.
What would they have to get in a trade? Did you say before?
No, I don't know. Size is what I said. Like somebody, maybe like a Grant Williams, because Grant Williams did a good job, but like someone bigger than Grant Williams.
They would need to get a big wing. I keep saying I think they need to get some kind of 6'9" like small forward.
Yeah.
To fit in the Dereck Jones Jr. spot, like a Kuzma or a Jeremy Grant or someone of that ilk.
John Collins.
Apparently he is very available right now.
Wiggins. There might be
Wiggins-
some depreciating assets on the market.
Wiggins
is
is
what
a
the Mavs
mess
need.
right now. Maybe he just needs a change of scenery because I do not understand. That is not the Wiggins the Mavs played in the playoffs.
No, but see, like environments like Golden State, that scares me if you're not locked in there. Like that just worries me.
Yeah, but we just saw Jordan Poole,
And he's a disaster.
look incredibly good with the Warriors, and he just left and he was a disaster. So maybe it works better for some people than others, but
Yeah.
and it did work for Andrew Wiggins because Andrew Wiggins
Yeah.
wasn't that great in Minnesota. Then he goes over to the Warriors and he looks awesome. He was arguably their second best player throughout that playoff run.
I'm just worried about his headspace. I mean, there's been reports on I don't know what went on, but I'm just worried about it from what we've seen.
So
And that's a 4-year contract.
yeah, well, there you go. Let us know in the comment section what's one reason the Mavs lost to the Wolves in this game. Subscribe to the subtext if you want more content like the mailbag and other stuff like that. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. No, Saturday, be back. The show will be back. You'll want to check in on Saturday for sure. That's one you'll want to check in on. Just trust me. Even if they
Trust
lose
us.
to the Portland Trail Blazers and the vibes are in the tank, you'll want to check in on that show. And then I'll have a bonus mailbag episode, only on audio, though. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast, listen to the podcast. I'll have a bonus mailbag. I'm going to try to do these once a week or so, just on audio for like a weekend edition. And so make sure you subscribe to the audio podcast on Spotify, Apple. I've been using Overcast. I kind of like Overcast. It's nice. There's all kinds of apps, so check those out. Guys, thanks for listening to Locked On Mavs. Peace out. Boom!